Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here to the fourth race of the season for the G-Force Sim Racing 87 Vintage Series. We are here today at the D-shaped mile-and-a-half Atlanta Motor Speedway for 134 laps of racing in the Smartway Remodeling 200. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Samuel Dyer. And Sam, you got to see what these drivers were doing at Richmond. We both saw what they did at Rockingham, and I got to experience the slipping and sliding of Daytona. So where does Atlanta fit into how these drivers are going to have to not only battle each other, but battle this racetrack?
The slipping and sliding of Daytona is kind of what we're going to be seeing here at Atlanta. Most of these cars are going to be almost completely sideways coming around 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then they're going to try to figure out how to carry that speed throughout the race. The main thing these drivers are looking out for is the track temp. If this track is cooled off, you can run some pretty quick lap times. The hotter it gets, the more slick the track can get for these drivers. The more they got to be wary of carrying and keeping those tires as clean as possible.
We have seen the temperatures fluctuate all through practice and even through the 15-minute qualifying session that these drivers had. As your front row is going to be comprised of our broadcast colleague Tyler Riggs on the pole position, alongside of the 2000 Xfinity Series champion Jeff Green. A couple of drivers back in the field did not take time, one of which I think we're going to have some fun watching come through the field. That's the 51 of Zach Onson, who was the fastest in practice and a guy that we thought would be contending for the pole, but he just wasn't able to lay down a good enough lap without spinning out.
Yeah, Zach Onson, really someone who is the top of the board for practice, and it's someone that we're going to be having to keep our eye on. Another driver that I'm watching to see who might be able to make some traction through. She's been quick at all the tracks we've been at. That's Dallas Myhan, who did not put down a lap time, so he'll be starting in the back of the field. So a lot of cars up here decided to put down a lap time, and with qualifying being 15 minutes long for these drivers to pick and choose when they come out, it was a lot of waiting game for these drivers, waiting for the track temp to be the coolest temperature for them to put down the fast lap that they could. So a lot of mind games early in qualifying, but we'll see how drivers can handle this 134 lap race.
Talked about Dallas Myhan. He comes into this race second in the point standings, the only driver up inside the top 3 in points that has not gone to victory lane. He's going to be trying to chase down outside of row 2. That's back-to-back winners in the last 2 races. Blaine Atkin, he's the overall points leader by 45 points coming into this race. Our winner from Daytona. And third in the standings, Ashton Schleiss, is not in the field, so we could see drivers like Christopher Morse, as well as Jake Hounshell, maybe even Robert Hedges, try and fight their way up into a top 3 leaving Atlanta as we are green and racing in the Smartway Remodeling 200.
Tyler Riggs got a fantastic run, but the inside line didn't go. That 3 machine did not take off, and I believe the 31 of Gerald Campbell made some contact. But early up front, it's going to be Blaine Atkins trying to get up to the lead. We saw a lot of this last week, and he's already up to the lead.
But a charge through 1 and 2. Almost like he had 5 miles per hour under the hood than everybody else. He got around Tyler Riggs for the top spot. Riggs drops back to second, and now into the clutches of Jeff Green.
Yeah, and right now, that 26 machine, kind of in a shock. I don't think anyone was expecting to see Blaine Atkin make this bold of a move early on, just based off how practice was going. But that 05 machine up front, looking quick as they're side-by-side back for 5th place.
That's the 75. Oh, man, that is Hank Steinmiller. He got his left front down there on that white line. A lot of drivers told us in practice, you don't really want to get that far low because you got a chance of getting on the apron and shooting you back up the track. That loses him a couple of spots. Gerald Campbell got around for 6th. Jake Hounshell now moving around for 7th. Move the 75 back to 8th.
And then the battle for 2nd also heating up with Jeff Green getting under Tyler Riggs, pushing that 26 up. But the 10 machine gets in the apron, drifting both cars higher than they want to be.
Riggs there up a little bit higher out of turn 2. His car looked a little loose. Talked about the fact all season long that these particular model of race cars have that lower spoiler, so going into the corner, there's not a whole lot to catch the air and keep the rear end of the car planted to the track, and that made me a little bit worried knowing that Atlanta's one of those tracks that drivers go to. Even with the bigger spoilers, they feel a loose sensation going into the turns, so I was really worried to see if these drivers are going to be feeling that even more so here today, and I think we're clearly seeing that as these drivers, you see the rear end, the rear tires sliding up about half a groove by the time they get out of turns 2 and 4.
Issues already being thrown out for the 96 machine and the 51 of Onset. I mean, Onsen, who we thought was going to be a car hard charging through, got in the wall early, already putting his car in the pits. 2 laps down for the 51 machine.
Now returning to the track, you saw Todd Eldridge, U.S. Olympic gold medalist, on pit road as well in the 96, getting more repairs done to his machine. As right now the gap's about 0.6 of a second from Blaine Atkin back to this battle for second, continuing between Riggs and Green. As these two continue to battle, we've got about 5 more drivers about to enter into this fray. Chris Morse Jr., Gerald Campbell, Nicholas Weatherby, Jake Houndshill, and Hank
Whoa!
Steinmiller.
Shell came in a little bit hotter than he was used to. Got a little bit more sideways than most cars have been. Able to keep that 83 machine under control, but continuing to push forward. We're going to be seeing that throughout the whole entire race. As when we started this race, the track temp, 126 degrees. Right now, 127. So it's just going to go higher and higher as these cars are running around this track.
And this league, ooh, as we nearly had some contact there between Houndshill and Weatherby off of 2. But this league only runs 16 races, and it's basically like 1987 Cup rules, where the driver with the most accumulated points in the season wins the championship. So drivers that really struggled at Daytona, almost needing the entire rest of the season to maybe get back into championship contention, as Houndshill got 2 left sides down to the grass. There's no grip there, and he almost looped it around the front straightaway.
Yeah, most of the time when you get your car into the grass, it just wants to bop you up and you have zero control of the machine, and you hope that you can get onto the racing surface cleanly without causing any wrecks. But the battle for second, it's now, once was 2-car battle, it's now a 4-car battle, as you've got Morris Jr. getting up there in the 3 machine and Gerald Campbell in the 31.
The 2nd through 5th right now,
Oh,
separated by 0.7 of a second, and they're actually drafting up to Blaine Atkins. We're about to have a 5-car fight for the race lead.
Atkins did not enter turn number 3 well. He came off a little high and bringing everyone else closer to that 0-5 machine. Everyone's right there, and really it's all about saving your tires. And I might have been Blaine Atkin using too much of those tires, as Green tried to figure out how to get by, almost looped it around entering 3.
And then he checked up Tyler Riggs, who then in turn checked up Christopher Morse Jr., as these 5 still continue nose to tail out of turns 3 and 4. Riggs looks on Green. Green throws a block looking for a move on Atkin.
You know, league owners and all the drivers were excited for this race, and we were too, and it's really showing as Atlanta and these 87 machines. It's been close racing from the start of the green, and it's going to continue on as these guys are still right on top of one another.
Here's Green looking to the inside of Blaine Atkin down the back straightaway. I think he's there. Nope, not quite. Almost got to the left rear quarter panel of Blaine Atkin, and now looks like he might try and make a move here out in the broken front straightaway. He's going to jump to the outside.
To the outside for the 10 machine, able to try to get to the corner panel, not able to, as Morse Jr. on the outside trying to pull along with the 10.
But the moves they make there on the front straightaway are what make me the most nervous, because you've got practically 2 turns there with the fact of the D-shaped front straightaway. A lot of drivers like to try and stick their nose down there, and a lot of times it's into a blind spot for these drivers, not realizing someone's either to their left rear or right rear. They either move up or down. You see a lot of spins in the infield grass. The result, Green almost getting into Atkin. He's going to try and move up the track for the lead.
Finally able to get under the 0-5, and here we are side by side going across the line. It's Atkin who gets it there. Well, coming into turn number 1, Green in the preferred line.
Now about half a car length advantage through 1 and 2. We'll see if he can clear off of turn 2 onto the back straightaway. He will. Tyler Riggs looks to follow in his tire track. Started P1, wants to get back to the top of the leaderboard.
And with these guys being side by side and really pushing everyone everywhere else, it's bringing in both 6th, 7th, and 8th place to get closer and closer to this front group.
Jake Hounshell's only running about 0.2 behind these top 5. And then Nicholas Weatherby also back there, about 0.8 back, and he's actually got his hands full with the 75 of Hank Steinmiller. Those 2 throwback-looking schemes duking it out for 6th.
Cars further back in the pack that were causing some contact. That's going to be the 9 of Bo Brady, as well as Dallas Myhan. Made a little bit of contact through 1 and 2.
And both of these, well, actually, no, one of these drivers, Dallas Myhan, had to start at the rear of the field, did not take time in qualifying. Brady now going to give way, so move Myhan up into the top 10. Just to follow up here on those drivers that had gotten the wall, had to come to pit road for unscheduled stops. Zach Onson continues to run 2 laps down in the 16th position, and 10 laps down is Todd Eldridge, continuing to get repairs done on that race car, and that's been since lap 2.
Yeah, something obviously completely wrong with that 96 machine. Hopefully we can get him back out there on track, but for now, The race up front they're starting to single file out and not be as aggressive as they once were, trying to pull away from one another. And it's kind of weird seeing Blaine Atkins all the way back in 6th place.
It is. I don't know if maybe he used up his stuff really early there, trying to charge to the front and had to kind of drop back there to save his equipment, or what happened. But yeah, all of a sudden he has dropped outside of the top 5, and that car looks like it's kind of gone away, and we're only 14 laps in.
Moves being made back for 8th place. This is going to be Kyle Johnson getting under the 24 machine of Weatherby, and Weatherby trying to hold suit and pinch the 88, just not able to do so. It's going to be Kyle Johnson able to pull away as the 24 gets into the wall.
I believe Kyle Johnson is right now the driver that's picked up the most spots since we went green. Was another driver that did not take a qualifying time and started this race outside of the top 13.
Yeah, Kyle Johnson and Dallas Mahan right now tied with the most positions moved up, both with 5 positions that they've moved up since this drop of the green.
Back up towards the front. Battle's going to be for 2nd place. Well, no, it's actually for the lead. Top 4 still all could have a blanket thrown over them as Tyler Riggs takes a look on Jeff Green. Hard to tell from this camera angle if he's there or not. Yes, I think he is going to turn
just
1.
there. They're possibly going to go 3 wide here. Gerald Campbell going to have to back out, drop behind the 26 machine.
Tyler Riggs and Gerald Campbell are teammates over in other leagues, and the two of them kind of tandeming down the back straightaway here against Jeff Green and Christopher Morse Jr. on the outside line. Ooh, a little bit of connection problems there for Riggs. That's scary for the top 5.
We saw that last week where a car blinked out and blinked right into another machine and threw this car that blinked into the wall. So you got to be careful not to blink into another machine, and it's kind of terrifying when you're this close to one another. The top 5 all right here. If one mistake of blinking or sliding could take out all the drivers right there in the top 5.
While Riggs was down there on the apron, his car pushed up. Campbell, on the other hand, had his left side down on the white line, and the back end almost came around. So a couple of near moments there as the two of them now will go side by side for the lead through 3 and 4. Jeff Green gets really close to the back bumper of the 31. Houndshell almost into the back of the 3.
And it's going to be Jeff Green practically pushing the 31 machine up to the lead if possible. And it's Tyler Riggs continuing to have some internet issues on the high side. He's got to be careful not to blink into anyone, and everyone else kind of trying to respect the 26 in his space.
Based off of what we were told by drivers and what we saw in practice, very impressive that we have been able to go 17 laps under green flag conditions, and we've got this huge pack of cars here, 5-6 cars up in this lead group, side by side, racing for the lead. Little contact there through 3 and 4 between Campbell and Riggs.
Continuing to race hard as we're going to lap 19 being finished. I mean, guys got to cool off just a little bit. We're got 134 laps to go. We're not even at the quarter.
Well, we also know that these drivers do have a fast repair at their disposal. Don't know if that's playing any factor into them racing as hard as they are here in these first 20 laps.
We've seen that you want to save that. Fast repairs, 3 wide for the lead. It's more street inside.
Oh boy, this is going to be interesting. First attempt at 3 wide as Houndshell got a big run. Thought he might force the issue, maybe 4 wide. And Christopher Morse Jr. clears the 31 up to the middle groove. He goes to the race lead for the first time today.
Houndshell through the grass has to back off just a little bit, but we're still staying side-by-side action as Morse Jr. up to the lead. Contact possibly made with Gerald Campbell and Houndshell.
Yes, there was contact as Campbell had to check up a bit. He's been getting his left side down the right line and almost gets into Riggs. Right now, Campbell having a very adventurous half lap.
Just an update for cars further in the back. The 24 machine of Nicholas Weatherby made more contact with the outside wall. He has drifted back all the way back to 11th.
He's now trying to get to Bo Brady to move back into the top 10. Blaine Atkin, on the other hand, continues to free fall after he jumped to the lead on the first lap. He's now back to 8th, just lost a spot to Kyle Johnson, who continues to march his way to the front. He's now up to 7th as we might be looking 3 wide again in here into turn 3. This time it's for the 2nd position.
Continuing to stay 3 wide, and now the car that I've got my eye on is the 75 machine of Hawk. They're still 3 wide.
Yikes.
And they're still staying good right now. They're still staying stable, just racing a little bit reckless. But that 75 machine in the Valvoline car, he's the one to watch out for. He's got the cleanest tires that he's been saving up compared to everyone else who's been running 3 too wide this whole entire run.
Hank Steinmiller in the Valvoline car, making his first start of the season. And he is looking to fight his way now into the top 5. They're double wide ahead of him for 4th. That's Jeff Green to the bottom, Gerald Campbell up top. And as these guys are racing for 2nd, Christopher Morris Jr. is pulling away at kind of what we saw before when Blaine Atkin got the race lead. Ooh, little contact maybe there between the left front of Campbell and the right rear of Green as Green got really loose through 3 and 4.
It certainly was close between the 10 and the 31, but they're going to keep it clean, keep running forward. And now you see the 75 car. He pushes up just slightly, almost getting into Campbell.
Almost like these guys, they're realizing the car is going to push up, and what they're doing is they're trying to line up their door with the door of the car above them. As long as they seem to hit square, they seem to be able to keep it together.
Yeah, in real life, you would wonder, you really don't want to do that just for the chance of cutting someone else's tire or even cutting your tire. But here in the virtual world, you're able to just bounce off of one another if you hit it square on both your doors. And so far, 75 machine up to 4th place. He's got a couple other cars in front of him to get by, but very clean so far. And here comes Kyle Johnson behind everyone, trying to make that outside line work.
And Steinmiller may be able to close up for maybe to get to 2nd place. They're going to go side by side for the runner-up spot. Houndshill to the inside of Tyler Riggs easily clears him there through 3 and 4. This all going on 0.7 of a second behind the 3 of Christopher Morse.
Just got an update on what was going on with Tom Eldridge, and you hate to see this, but he's having some steering wheel issues, and that is why he has not been able to get back on track. It looks like the 96 machine is done for the evening.
Battle is on for 2nd again. Tyler Riggs back to the inside of Jake Hounshell. Starting to see some cloud cover there on the back straightaway. Don't know if that's going to affect the fluctuating temperatures we've seen all evening long. As
Caution's out. It's going to be back in. It's going to be Blaine Atkins hard in the inside wall off of 2.
Two-time winner, the winner of the last 2 events at Rockingham and last week at Richmond. A lot of right front damage, it looked like, on his machine. Saw him up front, starting to drift to the back, and it's gone south in a hurry here in the first 25 laps for our points leader.
Got into the outside wall coming off of 2, and luckily held the brake enough to not hit the inside wall. Might be able to still continue running with this and save that fast repair, but most of the time we'll be seeing a lot of drivers pulling it in and utilize that fast repair early on if you've got too much damage to work with.
I don't think anyone was around Blaine Atkin racing him. I'm going to assume this may have just been a solo incident. Well, no, not quite.
I think he was by the 5 machine. I think that's...
Yes, he was. He was racing around Eric Schaefer. And his car just kind of pushed up there, almost got into the left rear of Schaefer. And pretty hard licking to that outside wall, darting his car down to the bottom. And he actually, I don't think, no, he did not hit the inside wall. All of that right front damage was from him clobbering the exit of turn 2 outside safer barrier.
Well, due to that caution, Lucky Dog is going to go to that 51 machine of Zach Onson, and he's going to be putting himself now 1 lap down. So another early caution could put that 51 machine back on the lead lap. One car is going to be staying out and not pitting. That's going to be the 41 machine of Dallas Myhan, and that is shocking to see.
Well, my questioning would be, would Myhan be staying out to counter the lap-led bonus point that Blaine Atkin got earlier when he got out in front in the beginning stages of this race? Yes, he's giving up track position right now if he comes to pit road with everybody having pitted a lap before, but in terms of thinking of the overall championship, you got to kind of counter point for point.
Huge pit stop moves. Tyler Riggs, after that pit stop, moves himself up to 2nd, beating the cars coming into the pits, pushing that 3 machine back to 3rd place. And also, Jake Hounshell, he's going to be in 4th place. As a couple of machines did not come in and have the best pit stops, but fastest pit stop of so far was for the 31 machine of Gerald Campbell in 5th place.
Here comes Dallas Myhan to pit road, so Tyler Riggs will be the leader when we do go back green. And to your point, a lot of drivers that really had slow pit stops and lost time on pit lane and positions. Jeff Green had a slow stop, so too did the 88 of Kyle Johnson. So they're going to have to work their way back to the front as well. You talked about the fact that Zach Onson got the free pass. A lot of the races that are run here are done based off 1987 rules, but some of them do change when we go from track to track. In tonight's race, we do have free passes, but no waiver rounds for these drivers. And then, of course, as well, the cautions, as opposed to Daytona, they are being called via the iRacing sim. So our first caution of the evening here And now, Sam, what did these drivers learn, do you think, in those first 25 laps?
They learned that, man, these tires drop off quick, as the times that these drivers were running were about 2 seconds off from the time that caution came out. So these drivers, they've got to be careful saving those tires. And I think the 75 machine did a great job saving it until the end. But overall, it's tough to save those tires. And I think you don't want to do what Blaine Atkin did at the start. Get a lead, push as hard as you can, and then you don't have anything for later on the run. You'll just drop back to around 8th, 6th place. And then you're kind of stuck there being passed by everyone else with fresher and well-treated tires.
Yeah, 4 drivers in particular, I think, did a good job, at least on that run, of figuring out what happens when you back the pace down just a little bit, let those tires kind of cool off and have everybody else use up their stuff, then start to make a run in the later portion. One of them would be the race leader, Tyler Riggs. He was the leader. He ended up getting passed early by Blaine Atkins, didn't really panic to try and fight his way back up there, just kind of minded his stuff. He then was in a fight there with Jake Hounshell for second place. Christopher Morse Jr. got it around him, who had saved his stuff a little bit better, but Riggs never really fell back that much. Mentioned Christopher Morse Jr. saving his stuff, Jake Hounshell, and Hank Steinmiller. All 4 of those drivers, I think, really got a good education of what they're able to do as far as conserving their tires for the long run on that first 25 lapper.
Now, these drivers, we are doing the 87 series rules, so we will be doing a single file restart here, not our usual recent of times, double file restarts. So Tyler Riggs, he's going to have a great restart here, not worrying about anyone really having to dive bomb him. But, last week we saw Blaine Atkins decide to dive bomb it on a lot of cars. We'll see if we'll see the 3 machine or 83 decide to quickly dive under anyone else going into turn number 1.
Another thing that I saw there on that run when Tyler Riggs was trying to hold everybody off for second place is obviously you want to run down as close to that grass as you possibly can here on the front straightaway to avoid anyone getting to your inside by the time you get into turn 1. But at the same time, it's very difficult to run down there and then get yourself the entry you want into turn 1. Most of these drivers like to put it right up against the outside wall and then arc it down into the corner, but you can't do that when you're down there defending the inside line on this broken front straightaway.
No, you really can, and it's just going to be a struggle for most of these machines to try to get the right entry so you don't come in and use up too much of your tire and use too much wheel to slide those tires and really waste the rubber that you're going to be starting out with here early on. Pace car lights are off. We're going to be going this time by, and gotta say, I'm interested to see what Blaine Atkins and how he's going to run. I believe he did not, just based off his time, he did not use a fast repair. Actually, I take that back. He might have used one. It's the 8 machine of Robert Hedges that I see a little bit of front right damage. He did not want to repair and waste that fast repair early on in this race. Looks like Blaine Atkins did use that fast repair early on in this race.
We'll see if he's going to be able to fight his way up here to the front. He'll have to tiptoe his way because with his fast repair already used up, if he gets any more damage during the course of this race, he's going to have to ride it out with whatever he's got. As coming down here to complete the 30th lap of the evening and go on to lap 31, the green flag will come out for our first restart of the evening, and Tyler Riggs leads us back to it.
Green's back in the air. Tyler Riggs leading us off. We'll see if anyone's going to decide to do any bold moves, as it's looking like it's going to be the 10 machine, Jeff Green, who's going to be trying to move up from 6th to 5th.
The inside of Steinmiller following in his tire tracks. Bo Brady in the 9. The green up to 5th. Now the top 5 are single file as Brady will go for the 6th position on Steinmiller into 3 and 4.
Brady was someone on that first run that drifted all the way back to about 11th place. He qualified decently well in 8th place, trying to get a better run, as now he's up to 6th place after getting by the 75 of Hank Steinmiller.
Battle for the 3rd position inside the podium. Campbell to the inside of Hounshell. Pushed up a little bit there, did Campbell. Hounshell had to give him a little bit of room. Now that opens the door for Jeff Green to look for 4th.
Tyler Riggs right now up to a 0.2 second lead, and he's not pulling away as much as we were seeing Atkin do on that last restart. We'll have to wait and see if he's able to save his tires as everyone else behind him shuffling all over the place, trying to figure out where they're going to place their car to get up front the best they can.
Mentioned Kyle Johnson at a slow pit stop there. He dropped all the way back to around the 11th position. He's now up to 8th, so 3 spots since going back green and trying to reel in this front group of 7. Eric Schaefer right back there as well, and the 24 of Nicholas Weatherby trying to work his way back to the front after you had mentioned on that last green flag run had gotten into the wall a couple of times. He's up inside the top 10 now, taking the 9th position away from the Kodiak number 5.
Yeah, he was running around the 7th place before he got into the wall, got it repaired, back out there on a fresh machine. We'll see if he's able to save that 24 car and avoid the wall.
Eric Schaefer, I don't know if he just messed up turn 4 and lost momentum, or he might have gotten the wall. I see some damage to the right front of his car because he lost a number of spots there down the front straightaway. Dallas Myhan, Randy Koking, and Ace Waller all got around him, dropping the 5 back to 13th place.
All right, now I'm looking at some cars that are deciding to save on their tires. And over the radio, you got Bo Brady and the 75 machine both stating, hey, we're trying to save tires, but still stay close to this front pack.
Brady right now in 6th, Steinmiller in 7th. As up towards the front, the best battle right now is going on for that 2nd position. That's where Chris Morse Jr. looks in his rearview mirror, sees Gerald Campbell and Jeff Green. Those 3, though, running single file, are starting to reel in Tyler Riggs, so we're about to have about 5 machines separated by maybe about 6.5 car lengths.
Right now, they're trying so much to try to stay up front and hold the way that they are, but man, it's been some fun racing watching. I think these drivers recognize after that first stint, hey, let's just save our tires, run to the end. After talking to some of the drivers, seeing the fuel stint for these guys, anywhere from lap 60 to about 70 is the window that we're going to be seeing these drivers come to the pits. That's the length that they can go. We had the pit stops about 9 or 8 laps ago, so we'll wait and see when they come in, as it looks like early issues for the 17 possibly, as he might be pulling his car into the pits in the next couple of laps as issues for himself.
That's Ace Waller, and we tried to look from the nose of Gerald Campbell, looking at the 8 of Christopher Morse Jr. Maybe we'll see it as we go by here. Take a look at the rear bumper of that Goodwrench machine. You can see it's pushed in. Now, that is not due to any damage on pit road. That is where Jeff Green was shoving his back bumper when he pushed the 3 car to the lead back on that last green flag run.
Yeah, and looks like Campbell's front end is pushing just slightly from, giving some bumps here and there, and Jeff Green doing the same. So all these guys, they were racing so hard in that first stint. I'm not surprised that there isn't at least a little bit of damage on the front end or rear end of these machines.
You know, it's interesting, too, because on that first run, we saw them double wide for the lead. We saw them attest the waters 3 wide on 2 separate occasions. Now, everybody up in this top 7 are all running single file. Nobody's stepping out of line. No one's making moves. Is this like the lull portion of the race where everybody's trying to figure out now how to get to the second half of this race with their cars in one piece?
Pretty much. It's one of those things where these drivers, they've decided it's time for us just to save up and get to the end. These drivers, their mark right now, looking to be around lap 90 to 85 is the window for these drivers, and so they're trying to get to that point. They're about 40 laps away from when they need to start thinking about pitting, and then they'll start maybe making some moves. At the moment, it's save tires until about 20 laps until they need to come to the pits.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up because at a lot of tracks like this where the tires really wear down, the track surface is abrasive, sometimes we get told what the fuel window is, but we see a lot of drivers come to pit road sooner than that just because the tires trump the fuel.
Yeah, it's right now, I think a lot of these drivers are trying to turn this into just this last money stop. If we stay green to the end, but really, if there's another caution, it really throws a wrench into everything. As the window that these drivers are looking for, once you get to lap about 62 to about 65 of races of laps ran, if we have a caution anytime after that, that really could be our money stop for these drivers to the end.
Well, you mentioned about Blaine Atkin using his fast repair already. Started back in the 15th position when we went back green. Wow, that car looked really loose there on the outside off of 2. He has only moved up to 13th place, and he's running right now anywhere from 2 to 3/10 slower than other drivers up inside the top 5.
Pass for the lead underway. You've got the 3 machine of Morris under Tyler Riggs, and If Tyler Riggs gets stuck on the outside, he could be getting absolutely passed by everyone. And it's one of the struggles of here at Atlanta is once you kind of wear those tires out, you got to be careful. But it looks like Gerald Campbell deciding, hey, let's make this thing racy. 3 wide into turn 3.
This is going to be interesting again. They've done it twice and made it work twice as Campbell right down along that white line. Morse pushed up a little bit. Oh, this is going to be crazy off this front straightaway as Campbell got those left sides barely into the grass.
Yeah, that's just Tyler Riggs into the wall.
And
Jeff Green involved as well.
The 10, and they saved it. Oh my goodness, how did they save it?
I have no idea how they saved that thing. Still side-by-side action for the lead. Gerald Campbell on the inside. And that's just some hard racing for those drivers. Caution in the back, though.
Not sure who it's for.
I think that was a manual caution by the admins right there.
I'm in shock. There is such a huge transition from the banking of the corners to the flat apron, and how Riggs and Green both were able to keep those cars straightened, come back up onto the banking of turns 1 and 2, and not spin out. I have no explanation for, especially with how loose we've seen these drivers in race conditions on the racing surface going into those corners.
Yeah, we talked about how tricky the straightaway was going to be, and it's one of those things of if you don't hit the right line, it's just going to throw your car either into the grass or into the wall. And for Tyler Riggs, it just his entry throughout the straightaway threw him into the wall and bounced him into the pack. And Jeff Green, just a victim of watching this 3 wide action there. Both these guys most likely are going to use their fast repairs now. And early in this race, and we're not even at lap 65, where it's the marker for these drivers to make it to their final pit stop. So all these guys, most of them going to be coming in the pits, but they're going to have to still come in one more time.
And let's not forget, too, we've seen 3 wide already here today, but those moves were made going into turn 3 and settled out by the time they got to turn 4. That's the first time we've seen a 3 wide move continue all the way over to turn 1. So Tyler Riggs, with no experience up in that third groove heading into turn 1, I think that could have very well led to him maybe overdriving just a little bit there out of the second bend of the front straightaway and brushing that outside wall.
Yeah, and he also threw out the fact that these guys are racing hard because they know they have a fast repair. And I would imagine the guys that use their fast repairs now are going to be thinking, hey, let's not race that hard anymore for the ones that have used their fast repairs. But for the guys that haven't used their fast repair, they're better off just continuing to race the way they are. Race as hard as you want. You know you still have to pit one more time. Make some bold moves. And bold moves we're seeing for our leader of the 3 machine, Christopher Morris Jr., staying out and the only car to stay out.
Yeah, can you imagine if that had been the race to the checkered flag? It would have been Christopher Morse Jr. by maybe less than a foot over the 31 of Gerald Campbell and the 26 of Tyler Riggs, as Morse is now going to come to pit lane. And this is interesting because I'm almost absolutely certain when we saw Dallas Myhan stay out under the last caution, it was to counter the point Blaine Atkin had. Christopher Morse Jr. has already led a lap here, so it can't be for getting a bonus point for a lap led. Maybe trying to get off the sequence of everybody else, have a little bit more in the tank, or maybe a little bit more as far as tires if this thing goes into another long green flag run.
Well, a lot of the cars up front, they had contact between all of them practically, so they all had damage that they needed to repair or use fast repair. So right now, with the 3 cars staying out, it gives them more laps led, possibly giving them that bonus point of the most laps led. As right now, Jake Hounshell is going to be the one leading the pack with 73 behind him and Jeff Green in third.
Looks like Jeff Green may have just had a regularly scheduled stop. I do not think he used a fast repair. You can still see the damage to his right front. He didn't get a whole lot of damage out of that either. Maybe just a little contact into Tyler Riggs' left rear quarter panel. Tyler Riggs, on the other hand, came to pit road, an extended stay to repair damage. He has not used his fast repair either. So both of those drivers kind of keeping that fast repair in their hip pocket.
Yeah, which you kind of have to do. You want to save your fast repair for at least the last half of the race. Some drivers are going to have to use it. Jeff Green, though, yes, he didn't use it, but man, he hit Tyler Riggs pretty hard with his front end and also the right side. So heavy damage for that 10 machine. We'll see how well he can run here once we get going, but I'm expecting possibly a chance of some power being lost in that 10 machine and him probably running around 6th or 7th once this pack gets going.
Well, we saw him at the front early. He faded back, and then we saw him as our first caution. But Blaine Akin is now back up into the top 5 for this restart. He'll restart behind Houndshell, Steinmiller, Green, and Campbell. Also, Zach Onson is going to get the free pass here with this yellow flag. So the 51 is back on the lead lap.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the 51 car goes, but on that last restart, he did get into the wall for the 51 machine. He already used a fast repair earlier on in the race, so Onson's going to be having to deal with a damaged vehicle for the rest of this race, and them starting 15th, we'll see how much better he can do, if he can possibly get that car into the top 10, or if he's going to be staying around the top 15.
Couple of drivers that I do not think we can sleep on are that 9 of Bo Brady and that 88 of Kyle Johnson. You mentioned about Brady on the last green flag run trying to save tires, and it was looking like just about when that second caution came out that Brady was thinking about maybe making a charge up through the top 5. So he'll be restarting back in 6th. Will the 9 of Brady, Kyle Johnson back in 8th, and a guy who did a good job getting through all that mayhem when Riggs and Green nearly spun in turn 1 was the 75 of Hank Steinmiller. He darted left, he darted right, was able to fight his way up into the top 3 after all that.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting time for that 75 machine, and I'm excited to see. He was the car that was mainly trying to save his tires in the first run and on that second run. Are we going to see them just continue to save until they need a pit again, or will they push it until they get to the point where they feel comfortable that they can make a pit stop? I mean, at this point, the drivers could stay out there with the fuel runs and tire run that they have. The next time that they'll have to pit, if we stay green, is around lap 105 to 110. So with about 20 laps to 30 laps to go, these drivers possibly will have to pit again.
We'll see if that's going to be the case. As should remind everybody, this second caution that we're working was an admin call. Nobody actually spun out, as Riggs and Green were able to save it, straighten their cars out. So we could have possibly, if iRacing was indeed calling the shots, we would have still been green at this point possibly, but the admin call for the caution coming out, it's our second yellow of the night, and we are now getting ready to go back green. And for the first time tonight, it's going to be the 83 of Jake Houndshell that's going to lead them into the restart zone.
Pace car already pulled off, and Jake Houndshell getting us green. But oh my goodness, a lot of machines did not get going. Gotta wonder if admin calls are going to cost anyone for making any bold moves, but they are all 3 wide from about 10th on back. All crazy action back here as they're almost 3 wide back in the pack.
It was hard to tell who was the one that didn't get going. It was either Green in the 10 or Campbell in the 31, or it might have been both. And Blaine Akin, who was ready for that green flag to fly, he went around the both of them. By the time they got to the start-finish line, he was up to 2nd.
Yeah, on that restart, it was Green who did not get going. Gerald Campbell was stuck behind him. Everyone else decided to pull under him. Now you got Blaine Atkins there in 2nd. And then you got Houndshell up in 1st, feeling comfortable, but it's battle for 4th now, where we're seeing some movement being made, as you got Green in 6th, as well as Weatherby trying to hold everyone else off.
Weatherby, the highest he has been here tonight in that Rainbow Warriors DuPont Chevy Lumina. He's in the 4th position, and they're going to be battling 3 wide, possibly here down the back straightaway. That's Jeff Green taking a look to the inside of Brady for 5th. Kyle Johnson waiting in the wings.
Looking at cars that are running around the back of the pack. You've got Christopher Morse Jr. and Tyler Riggs, 13th and 14th. Places that we have not seen them all race long, so we're going to have to wait and see how lap traffic is, how just traffic itself is going to affect these drivers, if they can make any big moves. Gerald Campbell, who's up there in the top 5 earlier today, he's now in 8th in the hornet's nest of all these machines that are staying side by side.
Yeah, he was one that was behind Jeff Green on that restart, and because Green didn't get going, he didn't get going. As a consequence, he fell back to the latter half of the top 10. A little bit further back, the 26th of Tyler Riggs. Right now, you can see he's not making a lot of forward progress, and we're not expecting him to either. He's got that damage from the wreck that brought out the second caution, so he's going to be a little bit off the pace. Right now, I think for Riggs, as well as the 10 of Jeff Green, who's trying to hang on, it's basically try and hold on for a late caution, come down, get that fast repair, keep yourself on the lead lap up to that point.
Gerald Campbell decided to drift around 1 and 2, almost made contact with the cars above him, but he was able to keep that 31 machine under himself. Still side-by-side action for 5th place, as you got Kyle Johnson trying to hold off Jeff Green, really not able to do so. at the moment as he's still holding strong on the outside. The battle for the lead was looking like Blaine Atkin thinking about making the pass, but deciding to just follow suit as our top four is right there in single file, and then he got side-by-side action from fifth on back.
Johnson clears Green for the fifth position. Looks like Jeff Green, that damage he sustained is really hurting him, especially on corner entry. He's having to lift a lot more before getting to the center of the corner. That's how Johnson was able to pass him on the outside line. And now Bo Brady, Gerald Campbell looking to do the same as Campbell got really low out of four, and he's in the grass again.
That time almost drifted up into Brady, but able to hold that 31 machine under him again through the front stretch. And you got to be careful. That front stretch is very, very dangerous. If you hit the grass at the wrong spot, it will actually launch your car up in the sky and you'll lose complete control of the machine. Great job by Campbell to keep his car under him, but it's just these guys are so close, and the longer the run goes, the tighter it can get in the center of the corner, but looser off exit.
You mentioned about that the infield grass can shoot your car into the air. People have to remember that infield grass is about maybe 2-3 inches lower than the asphalt. So not only does the car go into the grass, but there's like an elevation changes. The car bogs down into the grass area.
Yeah, it's extremely aggressive. Is right now our top 10 all in line and pretty close to one another. You got to think that maybe the cars further back in the pack are just waiting to see if there's going to be another caution up front.
Well, it very well could be. Blaine Atkin now through 3 and 4 to the bottom. He's going to get around the 83, so move him back to the race lead, and a big run for Hank Steinmiller. He's now filled in the hole that Blaine Atkin left to the inside of Houndshell for second.
As well for Kyle Johnson behind them. He's able to follow suit, but he just got into the apron, almost drifted up into Jeff Green. Jeff Green able to get in front of the 88 machine as the 88 drifts up into Bo Brady, and completely sideways was Kyle Johnson.
And way down to the inside, Gerald Campbell trying to give room. They're going to be 3 wide going into turn 3 now. Campbell, again down on that apron, almost loops it in turn 3.
Here comes Bo Brady trying to get under, and here comes Dallas Myhan underneath these guys, trying to push the 88 machine by the 31.
Gracious goodness me. Oh, we got a spinner in the grass. That's Jeff Green around. No caution yet.
As Jeff Green all the way back. I'm looking back to see if he made contact on the inside wall. I don't think he did, but no, he did. He drifted across the grass and then hit the inside wall, possibly. Yeah, he did. A hard hit for the front end of the 10 machine. Still running, though. But luckily, he saved that fast repair just in case another caution comes out.
Very smartly, too, as he spun onto pit road. He brought the car down to pit road. Speed is, ooh, wow. Hank Steinmiller went to the lead, but he really brushed the wall going into turn 3. You saw the sparks flying off the right rear quarter panel of his Valvoline machine.
And it's probably the third time I've seen him do that all race long, where he just drifts up a little bit too high and gets into the outside wall, but it really isn't slowing down. That 75 machine up front, doing a decent job, but man, I'm extremely impressed by the cars fifth on back where Gerald Campbell is. I don't know how those guys kept it straight with all the times that they were sideways and it was Jeff Green in front of them that got sideways and drifted away.
Sometimes tough setups, tough track conditions is where we see the cream rise to the top as far as what drivers are capable of doing. I mean, we saw that tremendous save by Riggs and Green earlier on. These drivers have been able to take a loose setup and still race each other 3 wide into the corners and keep it together. This has been insane, and this is only the first half of the race, Sam. I cannot wait to see what these guys bring to the table when we get down to the nitty-gritty and they know there's a checkered flag on the line.
You saw how dark the track got. That was cloud cover that was over the track for that whole entire lap. It dropped the track temp down to 114 degrees, the coolest it's been even during qualifying. So these guys had a lot of traction there, but the sun's starting to drift back up, and that track temp's going to raise as well.
Jake Houndshell pushing Blaine Atkin into turns 1 and 2. That put him up to the bumper of Hank Steinmiller for the race lead. Your top 3 all separated by 3 car lengths. And Gerald Campbell back there, as well as the 24 of Nicholas Weatherby. They're about to make it a 5-man fight. I think you've got about 6-7 cars up in this lead group right now, with a couple that might be able to latch back on as well.
Yeah, that was Campbell that made a move on Weatherby, and he's trying to keep moving forward, but these cars in front of him not really giving any space for anyone to get underneath, and you got to kind of get underneath the car on the straightaway. But right now, I'm watching back. It's Dallas Myhan and Kyle Johnson that are side by side, trying to figure out where they're going to be here in the top 6. If Myhan can get by the 88 machine, He's got a decent car at the moment, but it's all the cars behind these two machines that I'm kind of worried about. You got Christopher Morris Jr. in ninth. He's been able to move up a couple of positions, and then you got Bo Brady, who's also trying to move up a couple of positions as he's eighth.
Oh, Dallas Myhan pushes up the track. He gets into Kyle Johnson. Johnson's
Oh,
up
no!
against the wall, and he saves it. He almost got turned off the nose of Randy
They're
Cook.
3 wide.
Oh,
the
my
5 car to the wall.
Riggs is not going to lift. He's going to pick up about 3 or 4 spots because of that.
Oh man, the 11 machine of Randy Koking almost got a lot of damage there. Able to keep chugging along. It was the 5 car that got most of the damage, but trying to avoid Kyle Johnson, who got into the wall for the 5.
Now, I wanted to bring up before all that happened, you know, with the track conditions you're talking about, I don't know what the setup is. It's obviously a fixed setup, but I don't know what the grill tape's set to or anything. But I'm watching these guys all nose to tail pushing each other down the straightaways. I'd have to think they've got to be looking at their water temps, making sure they don't overheat too.
Yeah, this is something we saw at it was at Rockingham, I believe, where we saw some machines. Oh no, excuse me, that was a different league I'm thinking about, where we saw temps raising because of how close they were running between one another. You know, different cars. If you're running this close and you're bumping machines, the temp's got to go high. It doesn't matter how much tape there is on your machine. If you're behind a machine, not getting any fresh air into your engine and into your cooler, it's gonna crank up the temps. And yeah, you got to be careful not to blow your engine.
I mean, I talked about the fact that they've got those low spoilers, so not a whole lot of downforce that way. A lot of times, the way that Dadmans will counter being able to get downforce into the corner, if you can't get with the spoiler, add a little bit more grill tape. That helps the car to be able to kind of stay down to the ground. So it's really going to be interesting to see if these drivers decide to fan out, try and find some clean air. And that could lead to a lot more double-wide racing as Blaine Atkins pushing up off of 2. Campbell bumps him coming out of the second corner as both of them made their way around Steinmiller for first and second.
Yeah, Gerald Campbell thinking about making it 3 wide, decides otherwise, pushes the 05 into the lead, and now puts himself after the backstretch, putting the 31 car back to the point and leading at least this lap, it looks like, and will do. Gerald Campbell running through the grass earlier in this stint, now up front and running very quick laps compared to everyone else around him.
Now we're starting to see the field split apart, and I think a lot of that is due to the incident that Kyle Johnson had over in turn 2 a few laps ago. Your top 5 have now opened up about a 1.5-second gap back to 6th. That's where you find Bo Brady and Christopher Morse Jr. Then it's another 2 seconds when you get back to Tyler Riggs, Dallas Myhand, and others.
That 3 machine is quick. One of the fastest cars out here on track. He has the fastest lap put down so far on track. That last lap, the 3 machine fastest car right now on track, really looking quick as he's only about 1.3 seconds away from our leader and almost a little bit over a half a second away from this lead pack.
Another driver that's done a great job here after that issue that happened on this green flag run is Jeff Green. He's been able to keep himself on the lead lap for now, and that's exactly what he needs to do in case a caution comes out. Now, if he does get lapped, he is the only car that would be a lap down at that point, so he would get the free pass. But right now, Jeff Green's kind of in the same boat as Tyler Riggs, as we mentioned. Both of them had damage from the second caution, did not use the fast repair, so they're trying to keep that fast repair in their hip pocket for the latter portions of this race. But for Jeff Green, he's got to have himself up there in the lead group battling for positions rather than trying to battle to keep himself on the lead lap.
Yeah, right now, Jeff Green is about 14 seconds away from our leader. Practically a full stretch, straight away a difference between Jeff Green and our leader. And based on the fact that we've got another 30 laps before these drivers will think about pitting, 30 to 40 laps, Jeff Green should be in a decent spot because he's not running too slow off of our leaders, even though he's got heavy damage on that 10 machine.
Obviously, I think that I know the answer to this, but I'm going to throw it out to you anyway. Would any of these drivers consider maybe coming to pit road now? Because I think the fuel window would be closing in for them to be able to make it the rest of the way. Should they pit maybe in the next 5 to 10 laps and maybe try and get the fresh rubber then to make forward progress? Or do you save that fresh rubber for the latter portions of this race by pitting as late as possible?
You got to wait until later in this run. I mean, possibly 40 laps to go. Will be your time because you can go another about 20 to the 15 laps past when they get to 40 laps to go, just because of this fuel run and the last time they pit. But that's still risky just because of how much you lose on time after going out there. The few drivers I could think of is probably anyone in the top, probably 4th to about 10th. I could see them possibly short pitting and trying to gain time that way. But right now, our leader Gerald Campbell, he's running quick and pulling away from everyone else, and he's been running aggressive since the drop of the green on this last restart. So Gerald Campbell looking well.
Off the nose of the 24. The 24 of Weatherby's going to spin as well. The track is blocked as everyone shoots to the middle to avoid both of those machines.
Oh my goodness. Well,
we'll throw strategy out the window.
We'll throw it out the window for sure. It's now from here to the end. The drivers will make it.
So now comes the big question. Jeff Green stays on the lead lap. You got Tyler Riggs there as well. You've got damage on both Weatherby and Houndshell. Do you use your fast repair now, or do you expect that you're going to see more cautions here when we get into these final 60 laps?
You're going to have to look and see how much damage is on these cars. For Houndshell, most of the damage is on the rear end, so I think he should be all right to go. Weatherby, believe he's already used the fast repair for that 24 machine, so I think he's kind of stuck with what he's got.
Here's what happened off of turn 2, and boy, these guys were all running nose to tail in such close proximity that when there's a checkup and someone lifts, maybe the guy behind's not going to get the memo, and I think that's what happened there. Houndshell was lifting off of 2 for Blaine Atkin, and Weatherby just was not ready for that, did not react in time, gets into the back of the 83, and then subsequently spins as well, and I believe he got the worst out of all that as he backed his 24 pretty hard into that inside retaining wall.
Yeah, it was a very hard lick for the 24 machine, and we're going to have to wait and see if he decides to stay longer, trying to get those repairs done, as I believe he's already used that fast repair. Looks like Jeff Green going to be staying out once again, trying to get another lap led to help with the 10 machines most laps led campaign that he might be trying to go for, but still a lot of racing left. And I think Jeff Green still does have that fast repair, so he can still repair all the damage that he has. He was running about 3 to 4 tenths off of what everyone else on track was running. I'll have to wait and see, but coming off the track now, second at the moment, Gerald Campbell, but I believe we'll see Jeff Green pulling into the pits once he gets closer to pit entry.
So he'll get a lap led bonus point. Looks like Campbell will be the one that will be the leader when we go back green over Hank Stenmiller, and I'm not certain if Tyler Riggs may or may not have used his fast repair. He comes out in the 3rd position. Still see some damage to that right front, but I don't think he's used it.
Yeah, he has not used it yet. Other cars that haven't used the fast repair, I believe the 75 machine didn't use a fast repair. Yeah, he's still got some front end damage. As that front left is dinged up a little bit. Jeff Green pulling into the pits, so we'll have to wait and see if he uses a fast repair here. As right now, his car still looks like it has damage. It'll be staying with the damaged machine.
Managed 24 to keep car, it on the lead lap.
Weatherby still has that damage, as well as the 8 of Hedges. He has a lot of damage still on that machine. Houndshell stayed to get repairs. He actually was in there for over a minute, so pretty long time for that 83 machine, but looks like it's not as much damage as you would think. 17 car has a lot of front end damage as well, but he's back in 16th position at the moment.
Yeah, when I saw the damage on the back of Weatherby's car, I thought he had gotten the worst of it, but there actually was some pretty extensive damage to the left rear and right front of the 83 of Houndshell from contact from the outside wall. So he actually did take a couple of licks as well to his machine, and tremendous credit to everybody. Glad we've got that long runoff area there on the back straightaway, so everybody was able to split those 2 spinning cars, and we didn't have more drivers involved, because that was right up there at the front. That was a battle at the time for 2nd place. It was 3rd and 4th place cars that were spinning off of turn 2.
Well, right now with your top 5, cleanest car out here is going to be Bo Brady, who has got a pretty clean machine. Everyone else got a little bit of front end damage, side damage, rear end. Something is dinged in with everyone else except for Bo Brady, it seems like. Other machines that look with pretty clean machines, the 3 car, looking pretty good. The 88, as well as the 11 and the 5. But everyone else on track, damage still there and looking pretty harsh for everyone else on track.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the 88 on that list because he got that right side pretty good when he got sent up into the wall off of turn 2. Can't really see from this angle if that damage is there or not, as he kind of
It looks
broadsided
like
it.
he did use a fast repair on that last restart to get the 88 machine cleaned up there.
So there's another driver that no longer has a fast repair at his disposal as we're waiting to go green, and it will be with less than 60 laps to go. I believe pace car is going to pull in this time, so it should be with 58 laps remaining when we do get back green.
58 laps to go. Gerald Campbell going to be leading the way as the green flag is flying. The 31 machine taking us to corner number 1.
O'Brady moves the inside of Tyler Riggs. Riggs throws the block, however, trying to hold on to third place. And here comes Blaine Atkin around the outside of Bo Brady, trying to get 2 for the price of 1 through 1 and 2. Now has to lift as the battle's on for the lead. Here comes Steinmiller to the bottom on Campbell.
Steinmiller going to be trying everything he can right now. Riggs also trying to defend the machines behind him. We know Atkin has a very quick car in the first about 3 to 4 laps, and then it starts to drift off just a little bit. So he's trying to make everything he can. Is Bo Brady going to be blocking on the high side, but it's going to be the 75 of Steinmiller pulling the lead at the moment with Gerald Campbell behind it. Tyler Riggs looking hungry as well.
Yikes, that was close. Oh, Brady's
Brady!
loose. He saves it. Holy cow, he drove it deep into turn 1, and the rear tires did not stick. You almost had my hand into the back of Blaine Atkin as well, as that 9 car pulling way low. I don't know if maybe he might have an issue or it's just that he lost momentum.
He looked like he was still not under control of that 9 machine coming off of 2, so he had to throw it down below to try to give himself some more space to work with. Able to now get that 9 under himself, and looking forward, still a lot of machines looking and hungry to make a lot of moves. Is really Blaine Atkin under a lot of fire by Dallas Myhan.
This is the highest up we've seen Dallas Myhan today as he's slideways off of turn 2 after getting down the apron just a tad. That's going to open the door for Christopher Morse Jr. to try and fight into the top 5.
Yeah, Myhan, that was the best. He's been up to fifth place, and that was actually a 10 position bump up from where he started this race back in 15th. So he's down to 6th, only 9 positions up, but still a fantastic day for that 141 machine.
Top 3 have got themselves pretty well spaced out, about 2/10 between them, but right here is where the Hornet's Nest
Whoa,
is. As
Kyle Johnson
up the track, he's going to get into Johnson, down across the track again. Caution waves for a second incident here out of turn 2.
Kyle Johnson just looked like he wasn't giving much room to the 41. 41 got loose, drifted up, and contact made between the 41 machine of Dallas Myhan and Kyle Johnson, the 88 car. And that is not good for the 88 machine who just used up his fast repair.
A lot of damage there to that race car. We probably can't see the full extent over on the right side, but you can certainly see the buckle up over the right front wheel well, as well as the rear end damage, especially towards that right rear. This will give us a shot here of the right side of that car. Yeah, that right side's pretty well used up, and not sure just how much damage the 41 of Myhan got out of that, as well as I think he was able to slow it down before hitting the inside wall. But 7 laps we've run here, about 5, maybe 4 of them under green flag conditions. Sam, do you come back to pit road again?
Yeah, I would imagine we're going to see at least half the fields come in, probably from about 8th back, but everyone else, looks like everyone up front pulling it in, and it's the safest move to do. It's just because how quick you see the tires drop off is, and kind of have to do this. And some of the cars in the back might want to stay out, just get a lap led, but everyone coming into the pits and looking like another car added to the list of DNFs. It's going to be Ace Waller, who is going to be putting that 17 into the pits and behind the wall.
He's going to join Todd Eldridge in the garage area. 15 of our 17 cars now still running. All 15 currently on the lead lap. 41 car there of Dallas Myhan. I saw this happen earlier too. I think it was when we saw the spin by Blaine Atkin that brought out the first caution. They go up and they kind of seem to hit the outside wall square, but as soon as they hit it, it shoots their car to the left.
Yeah, it shoots up so quick, and we talked about the 51 at the start of the broadcast being someone to watch out for. He's up to 5th place now after going 2 laps down at the start of the race.
Zach Onson, we may not have heard the last of that number 51 car running the Days of Thunder Exxon scheme. And now up into the top 5 here for this restart. Looks like Tyler Riggs is going to be the leader when we go back green over Gerald Campbell, who I believe was the leader when that caution came out. No, I'm sorry, he was not. He was running second at the time.
Looking at cars that are in the pits, and still heavy damage for the 41 and 88 machine. And that Dallas Myhan's used to saving up those penalties, but now penalties given out. Looking like Dallas Myhan going to be given EOL, dropping all the way to the back.
Yeah, you brought up the fact about that Kyle Johnson wasn't giving a whole lot of room to Dallas Myhan, but Myhan also did go down and get his left sides on the apron, which shot him up the racetrack. It's been typical of what Atlanta has been here today. A lot of drivers have been struggling with trying to keep those left sides down away from that white paint line, because a lot of them, once they get down there, they're having to kind of overcorrect the car back up the banking, and sometimes they overcorrect just a little too much. They want to go up maybe about a third of a groove. Sometimes it goes up about half to a full groove.
Yeah, it's so difficult out here as you're trying to make some of these. You're trying to dig as much as you can, but if you touch that apron, your car just really, you have no control of when it shoots up, and it's not until you're really in the middle of the corner that you can maybe save it once you're getting up closer to the wall. But it's so hard out here, and you saw on that last caution, Dallas Myhan getting up into the 88 car and causing that accident to go down, and due to touching that apron and being a little bit too aggressive, the 41 machine giving the EOL.
It was interesting because I was looking back our last couple of restarts, and about 3 of our top 5, 6, 7 of our top 10 were all drivers that were making their first starts of the season. Now we look at our top 5, and only 1 or 2 drivers are making their first starts. You got Riggs, Campbell, and Morse up here in the top 5. Campbell and Onso making their first starts of the season are up inside of the top 5. And then you look a little bit further back, and it's all familiar names back from 7th place on back with Bo Brady, Randy Koking, Jake Hounshell, Eric Schaefer. They're all right behind Jeff Green, but we've only got about 3 drivers up here inside of the top 10 that are making their first start now. So would have to think that a lot of that, yes, it's due to pit drive, but it's also due to the fact that these drivers, they've raced multiple races at the start of the season. They know what these cars are capable of doing.
Yeah, they got to know that after all this time, it's so awesome seeing some of these new drivers out here. It's going to be great to see. Pace car rolls off. Tyler Riggs going to leading us to this restart. Green flag in the air, and they're shuffling all over the place now. Morse Jr. did it go, and around he goes.
That's a restart wreck as Christopher Morse Jr. off the nose of Jeff Green, who had a run to his outside. Zach Onso in the grass as well in the 51, and there were about 4 or 5 drivers that got some damage out of that one.
And it just looked like Onso wasn't expecting the 3 to come in so slow, and it's another struggle that he didn't start. That's the same time we saw him not get a great restart, and Onso got in the back bumper, and around they all went. 11 machine involved. It looked like also Bo Brady involved as well.
We a lot of machines. 2-3 drivers start to the outside line there on that restart. Green was 1. It was hard to tell who the other one was, but nobody wanting to give up any position or any momentum here on these restarts when somebody ahead of them is not paying attention.
Yeah, it's really looking at it. I know the 11 of Koking tried to dart to the inside, but wasn't able to because the 51 fell to the inside. 5 car tried to get through there quick, wasn't able to. Hard contact in the back bumper of Brady, and the 24 machine also coming in strong and getting in the back bumper of Green. So still, I'm pretty sure almost half the field involved in this one caution. So a lot of heavy damage. And then now it's time for those drivers that haven't used up fast repairs to start using them now.
I think maybe, just maybe, the aid of Robert Hedges may have gotten a slight piece, and Jake Houndshell, I think, just barely was able to dart through all of this mayhem. I think a hole just barely opened up for him to shoot through. We're actually going to look on board with him here on this restart.
Yeah, it's a wild ride for Houndshell because he got to see all of this going under. And, the grass becoming his favorite place once opening opened up for him.
Right down through the grass. And, we mentioned the fact there's no grip down there. How difficult is it to keep a car straight in the grass area?
It's more so whenever you get out of the bumps and you hit some type of asphalt, you're able to continue going and get some control. But it's more so if you aim first and hope that your car continues going the way that you're pointing when you hit the grass.
Well, Tyler Riggs not disappointed to see that caution come out. That meant that he didn't have to defend the race lead going into turn 1. He's going to be the leader when we go back green. Campbell behind him in second. Blainack in there in third. Bo Brady's right now running in fourth, but that car going by, when we looked at the replay, had a lot of front-end damage, a lot of rear-end damage as well, but we're now going to hold that spot. Jeff Green there in the 5th position, and I mean, when we took that green, we were at 52 laps to go, so we still got quite a number of laps still to run. We still have the potentiality of a couple more cautions, so the thing I'm wondering here with these guys is how long can you wait? Because let's speculate that maybe at this point you don't come down, you don't use that fast repair if you've got it, and we go green to the end. You're stuck with a damaged race car to the checkered flag.
Yeah, it's so difficult for these drivers to make a judgment call at this moment of when do you use that fast repair, when do you don't. But looking through all these machines, I think the cleanest one I could see out here might be the 75, but a lot of these cars, everyone has some type of front end damage in some fashion. Also, Gerald Campbell, his car looking pretty clean. Riggs has a little bit of right front damage that he has to worry about, but everyone else in the middle of the pack and back, a lot of front end damage. Might be running low on power. I know Bo Brady just announced that he might be running a little bit low on power. So the 9 machine that was looking clean and looking good to move forward might be stalling out and could be drifting on back.
As we get to the closing stages of these races, we start to see the aggression pick up. We see the contact happen more often, and we see a lot more torn up race cars. This has sent the 51 of Zach Onsen to the garage area. So 3 drivers now officially out of the race. The 88 of Kyle Johnson continues to get repairs done to his machine. He's currently scored in the 15th position, 7 laps down. He has spent nearly 8.5 minutes on pit road. Leiter's still on atop the pace car, so we've got at least another lap and a half before we go back green with Tyler Riggs showing the way. It's going to be less than 50 laps to go when we go back green, so we're going to step aside for a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back here to finish out the action in the Smartway Remodeling 200 here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. We welcome you back here as we are getting ready for our fifth restart of the evening, working our fifth caution of the night in the Smart Way Remodeling 200 here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway for the G-Force Sim Racing 87 Vintage Series. Seth Cole alongside of Samuel Dyer as Tyler Riggs going to bring us back to the green. Our pole sitter has found his way back to the front, but can he stay there? And who is going to be able to use their fast repair if we do get another caution from then to now?
The third car used it, but he got an EOL. He started at the end of the line, but green flag back in the air. You got Blaine Atkins thinking about making a pass here on the inside of Gerald Campbell.
Boy, these guys were all pushing each other by the time they got to that finish line. Yikes! Atkin looking. Riggs says not today.
Bo Brady trying to make some moves, decides to put it on the high side. There's a lot of cars with heavy damage on their machines, and the three car in the back of the pack, they're 3 wide in the back, almost 4 wide.
That was my hand trying to make some moves there, trying to get around the 75 of Hank Stenmiller. You mentioned before we went to the commercial break, there's very few cars in the field that look like they are clean since the drop of the green flag. Everybody's run into some issues here tonight at Atlanta.
And right now our top 3 is starting to pull away from everyone else, and right now the 3 car that started all the way in back of the pack, 13th position, Christopher Morris Jr. right now up to 10th already.
Christopher Morris Jr. coming into this race is currently only 45 points away from Blaine Atkin. I should mention, I did actually make a little bit of mistake points-wise. I said that Blaine Atkin was the points leader coming into this race. That is not correct. I was looking based off of their they have like a playoff updated points, even though I don't think there are playoffs in the series. Your points leader is actually Ashton Schleiss with 680 points. Atkin is the second in points, followed by Christopher Morse, Dallas Myhand, and Jake Hounshell. So that is my error on who is where positioned in the point standings coming to this one.
And Blaine Atkins, though, under fire from Gerald Campbell, and then behind them, they're at second back. You've got Houndshell, who's trying to figure out how to get by Jeff Green, just not able to. And Weatherby, his car might be riddled all over the place, but that 24 machine still running here in 6th place.
He talked about the fact Bo Brady was announcing he may be low on power. He restarted in the 4th position. He has now slid back to 8th. As Weatherby all over the back bumper of Houndshell for that 5th position. The battle for 5th and the battle for the lead looks very familiar here. You got 3 cars duking it out for each one of those positions.
And Campbell just barely able to slide in front of the 05 machine. And here comes Jeff Green, now getting on the back bumper of Blaine Atkin, who's under fire once again. As Gerald Campbell now trying to run down Tyler Riggs, who's up to almost a half-second gap to 2nd place.
Tyler Riggs, that last time by, ran a full 10th faster than Gerald Campbell. Of course, Campbell had to deal with Atkins battling for that 2nd spot, but Atkins not going away quietly. He gets a nice run out of 2. He may look to the inside down here into 3.
Right now, fastest cars to watch out for is going to be actually the 41 machine, who's running faster than our leaders. Jeff Green in 4th was running faster than Tyler Riggs that last lap. Other machines, I'm surprised, aren't running quicker. I mean, he is running quicker, I should say. He's running about 0.3 quicker. That's going to be Chris Morris Jr. with that very clean, just freshly repaired Machine 3 car.
Yeah, but the only problem for him is he's running 2.8 seconds behind race leader Tyler Riggs. He's got about 9 cars that he would have to pass before getting up there to the 26. So would he have enough time here if we run these final 40 laps clean and green?
I mean, if we run these last 40 laps, possibly, but really, I'm not expecting us to stay green. With the way that these guys are running so aggressive in the first half of this race, from second on back, you are not in a safe position if you're close to another car that's going to be running as hard as you're expecting them to run late in this race.
Speaking of green, Jeff Green there in that 10 machine, been making a great showing here tonight at Atlanta. In his Xfinity career, he's run Atlanta Motor Speedway 17 times. His best finish was a 4th place run back 1 year after his championship year. It was 2001, a 4th place finish at Atlanta. Looking really good right now to maybe finish 4th place here in the sim version of Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Yeah, and that front end is crinkled up. The back end's got a little bit of damage. That 10 machine of Jeff Green looking like he possibly could be running up even better, as he's running just a 10th off of our leader and everyone else around him. But still, it's really the draft at this moment that's keeping these cars so close to one another. And you wouldn't think that it is helping these machines, as a lot of these drivers aren't used. They think that this machine, the way that it's angled, the draft isn't that important, but it really helps so much here. And it also affects your machine going into the corner and having your car drift up every once in a while.
One thing we talk about all the time, especially when drivers are running as close to each other as they have been tonight, is that aero push running in the dirty air of another car, but it almost looks like it's more the track itself that is causing the aero push through the center of the corner than just the fact of how close these drivers are racing each other. It doesn't look like aerodynamics are playing into that at all.
Here comes the 3 machine. He's up to 9th. Just got by Bo Brady and is only about a half a second away from the 24 car, but he's running 3/10 faster than everyone else in front of him.
Less than 40 laps to go, and now if you're Christopher Morse Jr., you have to think about this as possibly going green to the end. You cannot hang back here, wait, hope for a caution, and then wait for everyone to use their fast repair and gain track position that way. You have to think in the terms that this may be the last time we have seen a caution flag here tonight.
I don't think that we're done with cautions for fourth
I'm
bomb
trying
back.
to think positive, Sam.
These guys are racing so aggressively. You got my hand trying to get by Green, and Green trying to do everything. Can't hold that position. Has to give it up, dropping down to 6th place. And now he's trying to figure out, how do I get by this 41 machine? How do I get by all the cars that have just gotten by me? As Houndshell now up to 4th.
It's interesting, too, because we got Christopher Morse Jr. trying to fight his way back to the front, Houndshell in 4th, My Hand in 5th. Those are the 3 drivers inside the top 5 in points that have not found victory lane yet this season.
Really, right now, I mean, Blaine Atkin feeling comfortable. His old My Hand into the wall. Entering turn number 3, continues to move forward, but really shuffling everyone else up. And here comes that 3 machine of Christopher Morris. He's coming with a head of steam, and he's running so much faster than everyone else in front of him.
No doubt about it, having the fast repair and a clean race car has got to be helping him with straightaway speed. Having the aerodynamics down the straightaway, some of these other drivers with their front end damage has got to be killing them maybe by a mile per hour or 2, but that's all you need to get the advantage on drivers. As you can see, Christopher Morse Jr. able to use the outside to get around Nicholas Weatherby for 8th place.
And that lead that once was almost a half a second gone. It is now less than 3/10. Is now Gerald Campbell right on the back bumper of Tyler Riggs.
Campbell would love to be able to get a victory in his first start. Tyler Riggs, however, who comes into this race currently 14th in the standings, trying to find victory lane for the first time this season as well. The teammates over in another league, they're duking it out here tonight, closing in on 30 laps to go at Atlanta.
They're trying everything they can right now, and the cars I'm watching out for, that 3 of Chris Morris Jr. At one point, it was 2.5 seconds back from our leader. It is less than 2 seconds now, as we're getting closer and closer to 30 laps to go.
Yeah, the gap is closing up, and he's doing a good job methodically working his way through the field, not forcing the issue. He realizes he has a faster car. He realizes that his car doesn't have any damage as opposed to about the 4 or 5 drivers ahead of him. So he's got to be smooth through the corners here as he'll make the move on Jeff Green for 7th and continues to chip away at that lead between himself and race leader Tyler Riggs.
Well, the crazy thing, it's not just 4 cars in front of him. Every single car on this track has some type of damage, except for that 3 machine who's just been running clean. As long as he doesn't make any contact with the wall, he has the cleanest car after that fast repair being used. Everyone else has at least some type of front end, rear end, or side damage on their cars.
Battle for the lead. Campbell to the outside of Tyler Riggs for the top position. Was he saving his stuff maybe a little bit here and then began the charge on Riggs in the 26? Still holds on that outside line and may clear off of 2. He does. Campbell to the lead around the outside through turns 1 and 2.
Able to get it done on the outside, and yeah, him running behind Riggs allowed him to try to save those tires way more than Riggs is. Riggs is trying to figure out where the best speed is. Campbell on the grass again.
He's in the lead. He doesn't have to be down there making a pass right now.
You know, maybe he just feels comfortable there running through the grass and making this race a little bit more interesting for himself. As the cars behind him for 3rd on back, they're all grouping up and right on top of one another.
That's Blaine Atkin in the 0-5, trying to go for his 3rd straight victory of the season. He has used his fast repair, and you can see he's got that right front damage, so may not be able to get it here tonight. Jake Hounshell right behind him, Dallas Myhand, Hank Steinmiller, and just at the tail end of this group is that 3 of Christopher Morse Jr. looming. He's only a second and a half back from the race leader now.
It was 2 seconds about 3 laps ago. And this 3 machine doing a fantastic job of cutting down the lead by just lingering around. He doesn't, like you said, doesn't need to push it. He can save his tires the best that he can. But I mean, he does need to pass some cars, but he's going to try to help and assist as they slowly make their way up to these league pack as third place, slowly gaining up to our leaders as when they were battling. It helped them to really gain up on our leaders that were about a second ahead.
Scary part of this, though, is you've got third place back to this seventh place battle, actually sixth place battle. And we've seen this before where these drivers all get lined up nose to tail, and different drivers, as we get longer into the run, have a little bit of an area in the center of the corner where they'll lift. Drivers behind them may not get that message. This is the kind of formulation of a group that we've seen already that's brought out 2 of our cautions.
And Morris is ready to go. He is ready to get going as he threw that car extremely low down the backstretch to get side by side with the 41 machine, now moving himself up into the top 5.
Lane Atkin is running right now about 9/10 of a second behind the top 2 of Campbell and Riggs. I will be very interested to see if Christopher Morse Jr. can get to the head of this lead pack. Will he leave them in the dust? Will he be able by himself to reel in the top 2 and make up what's now maybe about a second difference from second back to third?
Update on some of the cars that are running in the back. It looked like the 5 car, heavy contact that put him out of this race and a chance for a good finish. 12th at the moment, but under pit road and looking like he might get passed by the 11 machine later this run goes on.
Randy Kokean right now 2 laps behind him for that 12th position. Eric Schaefer coming into this race 15th in points. Also, you saw just ahead of the 5, the 88 of Kyle Johnson continuing to sit on pit road for repairs. He's now been on pit road for over 20 minutes. So it is a tough end to the night for the 88 car, who was running quite a good portion of this race up inside of the top 7 before he got involved in that wreck with Dallas Myhan that brought out our 4th caution of the evening. But up here at the front, Campbell now starting to open it up just a little bit between himself and Tyler Riggs. Did Tyler Riggs use up all of his stuff trying to hold Campbell off, or is this strategy of Riggs maybe trying to fade back a little, save, and then make a late race charge?
I would hope that he's right now let the driver go by, save those tires, and then try to make a late charge. Because right now, that 3 machine, he is running about 1/10 to 2/10 faster than our leaders, but due to the fact that he's stuck behind the slower machines of Houndshell and Atkin, he's not able to gain any time. If anything, he's lost 1/10 or 2 on our leaders as the laps drift away, and the time to catch up to our leaders as well drifts away.
And not only that, but also the tire grip drifts away because, yes, Christopher Morse Jr. does have a fresher race car, but he had only 7 lap fresher tires than these drivers ahead of him. And there's a point in time where you run enough laps, doesn't matter how fresh your tires are, they're all going to equal out based on the wear.
Yeah, and they are starting to do so as that last lap, it looked like the 3 machine got kind of close to the apron, drifted up a little bit, losing time as he's seeing the cars in front of him, Houndshell and Atkin, being side-by-side action here for third place.
It's like Atkin's going to cross Houndshell back over, tried to drift up in front of him, but Houndshell back into the gas a little sooner on the high side through 2. Ooh, almost got the wall there off of 2. The 2 will remain door-to-door going into 3.
And you got these guys that are battling for third, back to 7th place. And then also back here in 8th place, you got Jeff Green, who's just trying to hold off the 24 of Nicholas Weatherby. We'll see if he's able to do that as the laps are ticking away, and we're getting closer to about 20 laps to go.
And again, it's getting closer to that scenario of those drivers. Was that last caution their last opportunity to come down and get that fast repair? You've got Green back here with a lot of damage. Nicholas Weatherby with a lot of damage. You've got Tyler Riggs up there
Atkin! Can he save it? He's only going to keep it off the wall for now.
Now, do they throw a manual caution is the question. They
Nope.
threw one saved by Riggs and Green earlier. And looks like we are going to remain green. Atkins trying, I think, to maybe bring out a caution here as he's running rather slow.
He's gonna. It looks like he's trying to pull out a caution.
All the way back to 10th place as I think he was trying to spin it around there in 3, was unable to get it to loop around, and we'll see if he's still going to try and bring out a caution here at some point.
He's trying to plead right now to get a caution out because of the way that the last caution that was manually brought out, when those cars saved it, the caution was thrown out. And so Atkins is trying to plead for a caution to come out this time after him spinning.
I think there's about 6, 7 other drivers that wouldn't mind seeing the caution either because they were all planning to use their fast repair around this time. They would love to be able to come down pit road under caution conditions, get that fast repair for less than 20 lap shootout.
Oh, completely. They would love to see a caution brought out. And The pleading is still going on, but will not happen as right now, Christopher Morris Jr., he's back. He's losing another 10th right now after that slide, and the driver's having to back off just a little bit.
Yeah, the last time we updated, and that was about 10 laps ago, he was 1.6 seconds back. He's only gained a tenth since then. Yes, he has moved from 7th up to 4th.
Whoa! Our leader almost had contact with the 11 machine, who really didn't give any space. Contact was almost made between the lap car and Gerald Campbell.
And that's going to close the gap up now for the race lead. It was about half a second. It's now about 2.5 tenths between Campbell and Riggs.
And right now, I'm looking to see if Cocaine's going to let the 75 go by, and he does. But man, almost spinning around again. It was the 11. Keeping it clean and keeping it going. Looking at other cars right now that put their cars in back, that's going to be the 5 machine and putting his car behind the wall.
Battle for third is going to be over out of turn 2, I do believe, as Christopher Morse Jr. will move into the podium, getting around Jake Hounshell, move Hounshell back to 4th. You saw the 75 of Hank Steinmeiler back there in that 5th position, and then further back, you've got all these wounded machines just trying to ride it out, hoping for a yellow. Dallas Myhand in 6th. Jeff Green in 7th, 8th for Nicholas Weatherby. Driver we haven't talked about tonight because he really hasn't been up at the front, but how about a nice top 10 run for Robert Hedges in that 8 car?
Yeah, Hedges had some early trouble in that 8 car, been running pretty slow, and really due to the fact that he's just been out there running these laps and clocking in, he's been doing quite well to put himself in 9th place, and a great job for himself right now. And he's running about a little less than 4 seconds ahead of Blaine Atkin. He could possibly keep this 9th place position if we keep going green to the end.
Yeah, and I would have to think too, Blaine Atkin, I mean, how much tire wear did that spin cause for that 0.5? I would have to think he is on maybe really worn tires because that was a long slide down the back straightaway. And Christopher Morse Jr. is now out in clean air. You see him back there with Jake Hounshell. I think Tyler Riggs realizes this. He's now starting to put the pressure on Gerald Campbell for the race lead.
Yeah, it really did not help with the issue with the lap car. It made our leaders slow up just a little bit. And what once was about 1.2 second gap between 1st and 3rd, it's now less than a second, coming to almost half a second. As here comes Morris Jr. with the draft. It's going to help that 3 machine get even closer to Tyler Riggs.
Now half a second between that 2-car tandem of Morse Jr. and Hounshell to this 2-car tandem of Campbell and Riggs. May have been a little bit of a bump there off of turn 2. Riggs trying to get to the inside for the race lead. He is there going into 3.
He needs to make this pass as quick as possible. The longer they stay side by side, the more it's going to bring Hounshell and Morse Jr. into the mix here as we're coming closer to less than 10 laps to go, as we're coming to 15 to go.
Well, we were able to pinpoint a couple of areas that we expected a caution to happen, and it did. We might want to look up here at the front, because this might be where we see our 6th caution of the night.
If Morse Jr. gets any contact or any damage into an accident here, you got to be careful, as he almost thought about making it 3 wide, but got loose trying to throw it into the inside there for the 3 machine. Here comes Hounshell on the back bumper of the 3.
Ooh, Riggs really pushed up there in the corner. Fortunately, did not make contact with the left rear of the 31. And Christopher Morse Jr. saying, where do I go? Do I try the grass? Do I try shoot up the middle? Where can I try and make a move here? And Hounshell now back in the mix as well. 4 cars with 13 laps to go, battling for the win here tonight at Atlanta.
Right now, Riggs and Campbell need to make a wall between those two, stay side by side, force the 3 wide action. But you got to know, the longer you stay out here, the longer these drivers have been out on these old tires. As right now, Hounshell brushing the wall coming down the backstretch.
Riggs drives it deep again into 3, pushes the 31 up the track, almost 3 wide there through 3 and 4, as Hounshell took a peek to the inside of the Goodwrench Chevrolet, and now Riggs defensively down that inside line, down the D-shaped front straightaway.
He's got to cover the inside. Do not get Morse Jr. anything below you or he will take off and you won't be able to catch him. You got to race defensively, and it's going to be difficult here coming to 11 laps to go for these drivers to keep doing what they're doing. But Riggs trying to block the 3 car, but here he comes on the inside.
Morse Jr.'s got the left rear quarter panel. Maybe Riggs tries to pinch him down coming off of 4. I think the problem is Riggs isn't quite able to get the rear grip off the turn like the 3 car is. Riggs almost into the wall off of 4 as here comes Morse, here comes Hounshell, and don't count out that 75. Hank Steinmiller is back there as
Tyler
well.
Riggs into the wall. He's trying to save it. It's going to put Steinmiller into the apron. He's going to drift up just slightly. Not going to be well. That is terrible for Riggs, who once was leading this race into the wall, now drifting back to 5th place.
Got a little contact there with Steinmiller as well, as Steinmiller got him in the left front rather, and almost sent him up into the wall again. Now out in front, it is Christopher Morse Jr. in clean air and starting to open up the gap between himself and Jake Hounshell. Hank Steinmiller back there as well. Now, if we're looking in terms of tires, Morse has got the freshest tires. He's got 7-lap fresher tires than Hounshell, but only 5-lap fresher tires than the 75.
Campbell and Riggs almost spun it around. Campbell back into the wall again, as those two are racing hard, trying to figure out who's going to finish in 4th.
Campbell riding the wall from the center of turns 1 and 2, almost to the back straightaway. Now he drifts back to the 5th position, and a couple of guys have come to pit road. The 24 of Nicholas Weatherby had to hit pit road. He's now a lap down in the 10th position. Unscheduled stop as well for Bo Brady in the 9. The 11 of Randy Koking was on pit road also, so we've only got 9 cars on the lead lap with less than 10 to go.
And right now, Hedge is trying to keep that car underneath him as he almost spun around, coming around too. As Atkins is extremely slow.
Oh, yeah, there's smoke. Yeah, there's smoke on the back straightaway. There was a car down there. That was Atkins again in the 05, maybe trying to bring out
he got into the wall.
Again.
No, he got into the wall off of 2 when he spun it around. This time, a lot more contact for the 05.
Oh, look out. Where's the 8 going to go? He puts it to the 8.
Oh, he got into him.
3, and there goes Morse into the wall. Hedges involved as well.
Hounshell's in the lead at the moment.
Oh, my goodness. Hedges was trying to find somewhere to go. They were battling side by side for the lead. He figured he would go to the apron. And you can't carry that much speed down there on a flat apron. Came up the track, got into Hounshell, who then got into Christopher Morse Jr. And a battle for the lead brings out our 6th caution with less than 10 laps to go.
Oh my goodness.
Well, we said that the 6th caution might happen up in the lead pack. Wasn't expecting that kind of a circumstance.
I mean, we saw the 11 car almost make contact with our leader earlier in this run, and that time Hedges was the one that wasn't able to get there, and now the 3 machine that was looking dominant, looking like he was going to be the one to win it if we went green all the way, gets damaged. No fast repair for Chris Morse Jr., but who has a fast repair left and can utilize it here coming to this last restart possibly of the race?
Hounshell had a damaged race car and was able to keep pace pretty well with Christopher Morse Jr. So if you're the 83, do you give up that track position to come down and get that fast repair?
Oh, everyone's
because
coming in.
Everybody was out there nearly 50 laps on tires.
And you're running about 2, possibly 3 seconds slower than your best lap time. You have to come in and get the tires and everything in. Honestly, the 75 machine is the car that I'm surprised on how well he saved those tires and caught up to everyone that was battling up front.
Let's watch and see here. I think we're going to see a lot of clean-looking race cars here for this restart. Will they look clean when we get around to the checkered flag is the question. It looks like Jeff Green is coming down pit road.
Tyler Riggs had a fast repair left. That 26 machine clean and ready to go. Also for the 31 of Gerald Campbell, he's got a clean machine. Hounshell, he's got a clean machine as well, and the 75. A lot of machines saved up their fast repairs. Take the back. The 75 machine did not have his fast repair. Front end a little bit dinged in.
So at least 3 of our drivers up here inside of the top 5.
Dallas Myhan had one as well. Repair. And also Hedges, who's going to be 1 lap down. He had a fast repair.
Looks like Jeff Green did not have a fast repair left.
No, he used one in the first half of the race, and that's why he doesn't have one here for the end of this race, and he'll be starting around 7th place at the moment.
Nicholas Weatherby apparently did not have a fast repair left either. He is going to be the recipient of the free pass. He will get back on the lead lap, but a lot of damage on that DuPont Chevrolet. So it's about, 4 drivers, I believe, that were able to use their fast repairs here. Nope, make it 5 if we add the 41 of Dallas Myhan. They were able to use their fast repairs here closing in on what could potentially be an in-lap green-white checker.
Yeah, it's going to be either 3 laps to go or 2 laps to go when we go green again. And just based off of the restarts that we've had, I won't even say that we're going to be able to make it to the end. I mean, we've had so many restarts where people are just making crazy and bold moves at the start. We're going to be making a lot of difficult adjustments. I think Hedges right now in the 8 machine, without cleaning his car, he's going to be starting the back. He can make up a lot of spaces, might not be for position, but could be making a lot of passes here in the restart with him starting all the way in the back.
Saw Blaine Atkins stay out an extra lap there.
Ooh, Atkin, he had a fast repair. He went for making this late pit stop, he's going to have 1 lap fresher tires than everyone else.
See if that's a difference maker. He's already got 2 victories this season. So why not play a little bit of extra strategy to try and see if you can pick up your 3rd win on the year? 3rd in a row. Looks like
Morse Jr. is back in the pits.
Yeah, that's a tough break there for Morse Jr., who had already used his fast repair. So this effectively would take him, I would assume, out of the conversation for the win. I put the assume in quotes because we've seen quite a number of our wrecks take place up at the front of the field. About 3 of our cautions, I think, have taken place up inside of the top 5.
3 to 4 possibly. It's been a lot. If not, I think we've seen a lot of cars. It might not have brought out cautions. We've seen a lot of machines up front making some contact being made as Robert Hedges given the EOL, so he'll be starting all the way at the end of the line for this restart here.
All right, so obviously the shortest amount of time that we have been under green was about maybe 3 seconds when we had that stack up on the restart.
I wouldn't even say it was 3 seconds. It was almost instant that we went green. The caution flag was thrown.
Yeah, but I think the longest green flag run, or sorry, the shortest green flag run we've had past that was 5 laps. Most of our runs have been anywhere from 20 to this one, the longest run, 47 laps in distance. Have we been able to pick out a driver that looks like the best on the short run?
I would say Blaine Atkin is probably the quickest in the first 3 to 4 laps, but he's starting back in 7th. And we've seen how aggressive he is on these restarts. He almost jumps the restarts, gets under drivers before you even get to the line. So Blaine Atkins might be someone that really is going to be making a lot of aggressive moves. But he can at least get by green. Other cars in front of him, they've all looked very fresh and ready to go.
Saw the 24 of Nicholas Weatherby dropping to the back. Now, the reason for that, I said he was the lucky dog. Actually, the driver that would have gotten the free pass under that caution was the 8 of Robert Hedges, who caused that incident over in turn 1. Based on the fact that he was the one that brought out the caution, there was no lucky dog given. So Hedges is a lap down in 9th, Weatherby a lap down in 10th. No driver received the free pass under this caution.
Well, it's going to be 2 laps to go. Pace car lights are out. Let's see who gets this thing done with Jay Countshell leading the pack.
Can they make it back to the white flag? If they cannot, next flag ends the race. This race could end under yellow. And we're about to find out if the top 5 all had a fast repair on this last pit stop. Green flag is in the air.
Tyler Riggs already jumping off. Huge restart for the 26 machine that's already up to 2nd underneath the 75 and pushing Houndshell into turn number 1.
Literally pushing him as he'll now drift up in front of Steinmiller. Moves to 2nd. Here comes Campbell with a big run as Houndshell pushes up off the corner, almost into the wall off of turn 2.
But here comes Rigg. After that little bit of slide, he's going to lose some momentum. The 26 car still on that back bumper, trying to make a move, but off to turn number 4. We're coming to the white flag.
And they get to the start-finish line with a white flag.
No,
displays the 75 spins. Still no caution. Still no caution. It's official. We're racing back to the checkers. It's Houndshell, Riggs, and Campbell.
Right now, Houndshell looking quite clean at the moment. Cars behind our top 3. It's going to be my hand and Atkin. And right now, Riggs trying to dig deep, trying to get under that 83 machine, but 2nd place is where he's at right now.
We have to drive it deep here into 3 and hope that it sticks. Closes up to half a car length between himself and Houndshell through 3 and 4. Tries to drift it up off the corner. May try a crossover here out of 4. Can't quite get there, as it's going to be Jake Houndshell taking the checkers tonight at Atlanta.
Tyler Riggs second, and Gerald Campbell in his first start here in the series going to get third.
Dane Atkins going to battle back for 4th. Myhand will finish in 5th, so those two have been right around each other in the point standings week after week, continue to finish in the same proximity to each other.
Man, and I got to say, the 75 of Sam Miller is going to be. He had a rough time there coming off of 3 and 4. Almost completely lost it and drifts back to 6th place, but not a bad day for him.
I thought that car was gone. When I saw him off the screen heading down to the inside wall off of 4, I was shocked to see him pop back up into the frame.
Yeah, Jeff Green getting 7th, not bad for him as well.
Christopher Morse Jr., despite the issue there in the closing stages of this race, he'll finish in 8th. And then Nicholas Weatherby was able to get around Robert Hedges for 9th, dropping Hedges back to the 10th position as Jake Houndshell, his first victory of the season, came into this race 5th in the point standings and gets to burn it down here in the Smart Way Remodeling 200 after a grueling 134 laps.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, from the drop of the green on lap 1, it was constant battles up front. We had a couple of lull periods where drivers were staying single file, but it didn't really last too long as we were seeing battling from start to finish. What a fantastic race with these 87 cars.
Usually it's the races that you get a little bit of an apprehensive feeling going in that tend to be the most entertaining, and that was the case here tonight as we saw them 3 wide on several occasions, a lot of passing for the lead and a lot of battling all the way through the field. Yes, we had a couple of cautions along the way, but a lot of it just due to the fact that everyone was racing in such close proximity to each other.
Yeah, I mean, they were. I'm so surprised that most of the time that we were racing 3 wide, they saved it. I know it was the one time that Tyler Riggs got up into the wall. That was the one time that it really didn't work out for these guys going 3 wide, but impressive driving from everyone in the field with the way that this race went. And just, it was so entertaining for us to watch, and I know it was entertaining for the rest of the people that are watching our streams. That was a very extremely fun race to watch. And I know the drivers, they were so excited for this race just because they knew the field was going to be the biggest field of the season, and they knew the racing was going to be fun and exciting with these 87 cars.
Well, they were excited heading in. Let's find out what they felt like after the checkered flag wave. Let's get some post-race interviews and kick things off with 3rd place finishing Gerald Campbell. Gerald, it's Sam and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
I got you guys.
Well, gracious, we were seeing all the battling going on there from 1st all the way back to 8th place, all those cars under a blanket. You were right there in the middle of it, spent a good portion of this race near the end out in front as well. What was it like in the cockpit, literally sliding these cars through the corner?
Man, it didn't matter if we had new tires or old tires. It was a battle, no matter what position you had to go through. It was man, I'm sweating here just because it was wheeling and dealing and sawing on the steering wheel back and forth. I mean, this was a lot of fun. It was difficult though, but boy, I guess I went out too far in the beginning there. I thought I had a good strategy. I thought I was out far enough to start saving, and I think I blew a tire right when that caution came out, so that was a good thing that happened to me and stacked it all up for a crazy finish there at the end.
Yeah, talk about the fact that you, along with the other 4 that restart up inside the top 5, all had your fast repairs still available. When you saw everybody around you with cars as if you were taking the green to start this race, what were your thoughts in that green-white checker?
We're about to damage them again. I was like, all right, well, good. I got a clean car. I can go ahead and put a couple more dents back into it. So it didn't happen that way, surprisingly. It was it was just everyone was going so flat out. I think maybe if it was a 5-lap run to the end, I think you would have seen probably another 3 wide pass for the lead. It was just whenever 2 cars got side by side, it just slowed you down so much that a guy could just take it 3 wide. And I was kind of hoping that I was going to stay behind Riggs and try to get him underneath the 83, and then I was going to go ahead and try to sneak one underneath both of them. I don't know if we would have made it out the other end, but that was my strategy, and we just were all going. I think we all ran our fastest laps there at the end of the race, just pushing it so hard into those turns.
Yeah, I mean, Gerald, you talking about going three wide. You were there most of the times that we were three wide action. How was it being on the inside most of the time?
I ain't afraid of no three wide. I like three wide racing. It just when it pays off for me. It didn't pay off for me so much there, especially whenever I was battling for the lead with my teammate Riggs and just watching people just use us up going into three wide situations. And it was fun. It was fun. It was a long race, and you got to learn different kind of strategies going on and different kind of maneuvers that were going to work. Some that didn't. I kind of figured at the end there that the best way to pass was to get them on the outside, and that way you don't have to end up sitting there fighting with them for 10, 15 laps trying to maneuver inch by inch past them and wearing your stuff out. So it was fun. Like I said, even though it wasn't like a full field, I mean, there was so much battling. I don't think this track could have handled a full field. We were all over the place.
Well, you said you're not afraid of three wide. We were afraid for you up here in the booth, all those three wide situations. But
Ah,
a great run here for your debut, though, Gerald. We're going to do some shout outs now.
yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'd like to thank PRM, my teammate, Tyler Riggs in here. We race all the time. A lot of fun. I'm going to be back. It's fun to race against a lot of good drivers in here. So the 87 cars, you either get into a field that's just doesn't belong in these cars, and then you get a field like tonight where it looked like we were all professionals and we were back in 1987, and we were all just so hungry to go out there. But still a lot of clean racing and a lot of hard racing. So like to thank this series. Hopefully I'll get to do more of them. It sounds like that's probably what the money I'm going to get back from here is going to go right back to, is just to enter me into the next one and see if I can go and gain a couple more positions.
Well, that's Gerald Campbell. A tremendous run for his debut here tonight in the G4 Sim Racing 87 Vintage Series. P3, he brings it home here tonight. Congrats on a great run, Gerald.
Thank you, guys. See you guys next time.
And let's get his teammate in here, Tyler Riggs, who brings it home P2 after starting on the pole. Tyler, it's Sam and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, I'm just telling you this right now. I do not want to switch jobs with you in this race. I don't want you up in the booth and me down in that race car because it looked scary out there. But you spent a good portion of that race battling up there, either at the front or trying to get to the front. What was it like for you? Because you gave us the conditions going into the race. Did that play out the way you expected?
Yeah, the big thing, the fuel run is what got me. I told you guys pre-race just kind of how big of the fuel run was. Well, the tires, of course, didn't even come close to that. I mean, after that first round, we all kind of realized if you're lucky, you're stretching 50, 60 laps on tires. So you're well short on that. And that was a big challenge. I mean, and I still didn't have it down at the end. That's why, me and Gerald got passed up there in the closing stages of it because we tried, but man, it is really tough to save out there and keep that pace. So, Jake, he definitely earned the win on that, just because I only had the short run speed, truthfully, or short to mid run, not necessarily that long run speed.
You talk about fuel, you talk about tires. Thing that we also brought up was we saw you guys pushing each other down these straightaways. Was there, based on the high track temp that we had, was there any concern about overheating?
Not quite. I was more concerned about, sliding up off the corner, or even when the tires got really worn and you guys saw it. I mean, there's times I was loose on the straightaway. It was wild. In that sense, that was really the main thing, is just trying to keep it straight. And then when you were side by side with somebody, because of how hot and slick it was, I mean, it was dangerous to pass. I mean, I caught. I remember catching Dallas my hand on my way back up through the field after I'd wrecked and had to get some repairs. And he was on a little bit older tires, and you could tell, but it was still a tough job to pass him. Now, of course, I tried to do it on the inside, but even if it was the outside, it was just a battle out there.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler, we always joke about it because you're one of our colleagues up here in that FRM booth. And we were, not to be biased, but we were kind of rooting that you'd get up in the top three because we've missed talking to you for a bit here. But Tyler, really about the end, we were seeing so many drivers trying to save their fast repairs to the end. Some drivers just weren't able to, but you were one of those cars that were able to. How difficult was it trying to save that fast repair to the very last moment?
Not too bad. I got kind of lucky because the first time I hit the wall and me and Jeff Green collided a bit. we didn't quite wreck it, and I checked everything in pit road. I had about just under a minute's worth of damage, and thankfully with these legend cars, man, they are tough. So you take a hit like that, not really losing horsepower performance. That second hit I took, that one was worried me a bit more, and I got the break with caution. Honestly, I mean, if that caution doesn't come out, I probably finish about fourth or fifth. So I was lucky to get that, and man, that first pit stall, guys, that thing was a cheat code tonight. I mean, I would gain spots on pit road and gain so much time just being in that first stall. So definitely helped out.
Well, it definitely helped you to a second place run. You spent the entire race, I believe, up inside of the top 5. A great performance here tonight, Tyler. And we're going to let you do some shout outs now.
Oh man, I've been looking forward to this. First off, the guys on the car, USA Comics as Uncanny Super Amazing Comics down there in Woodward, Oklahoma, represent. They've been phenomenal. Chris, Dave, all the guys back in the shop, Damon, they all really support me, and love that USA Comics is getting out there like that in the sim world, and it's been a lot of fun racing it through Elite, Erska, now here in G-Force. And then they're not on the car for the 87 car, but they are the other sponsor. It's also very hype. It's always important. That's Belly Up Fantasy. So go check them out. Kind of independent deal. They're part of an overall umbrella of what's called Belly Up Sports. And those guys at Belly Up Fantasy do a lot of great work in terms of content for, football, basketball, baseball. Sports starting back up. Good time to check it out. As far as USA Comics, hey, if anybody's in the Woodward, Oklahoma area, swing on by on the weekend. I might be there. You might, come have some fun. They do comics, D&D sessions. We play, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, all sorts of trading card games, and they're a little. Sometimes they have listings on tgcplayer.com. So if you get a chance, check that out, see what they got. And of course, you guys up here in the booth do a great job.
Well, that's Tyler Riggs. He starts P1. He finishes P2. This undoubtedly will move you up into the top 10 in points as well. Congrats on a great run, Tyler.
Thank you, fellas. Appreciate it.
And I think we're going to hear elation out of Jake Houndshell because as we were interviewing Gerald Campbell, I think that the burnout for Houndshell lasted just as long as the interview with our third place finisher. So let's go down to Victory Lane and get a word with Jake Houndshell, his first win of the season. Jake, it's Sam and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Yeah, man, I got you. How's it going?
Well, it's going great for us, but I bet it's going even greater for you. What a wild finish here tonight at Atlanta. But I got to go back before that caution even came out because we knew the 3 car had already used his faster pair. You still had yours in your hip pocket, but it looked like you were still competitive with the 3. The 2 of you were side by side when that caution came out. So would it have made a difference with this caution coming out as to you possibly still taking this checkered flag?
That's a great question. I was definitely saving my tires. I thought I had a little bit something for him, even if the caution didn't come out. So I was actually kind of sad to see it come out, even though it ended up benefiting me. But yeah, I was saving hardcore.
We saw here today a lot of changes for the lead. Some drivers would get out to about maybe half a second, then get reeled right back in. You started that last restart from the front. You had 4 of the drivers behind you as well that had used their faster pair along with yourself. What's the strategy on those final 2 laps? What do you do to keep them in your rearview mirror?
It was really all about the start. I hadn't really gotten great restarts all night, so I was a little concerned about it. Even on that restart, I may have choked a little bit. It was either a 75 or I forget who else it was, but they got a really good run on me, so I had to defend a little bit. But it ended up working out.
Yeah, Jake, on that restart, that was Tyler Riggs that came up on you, but we were seeing the drivers all over the place. So it's anywhere from 2 wide, 3 wide. At one point, I think we saw some cars all in the back going 4 wide. How difficult is it trying to keep those machines under you when you're going 2 to 3 wide?
It's really difficult. I mean, they're so much fun to drive, but they float around the corners. They don't stick at all. So you have to really anticipate what you're going to do. And if you're 4 wide, 3 wide, you can't anticipate what anybody else is going to do. So it's that much more hairy. It's like nothing they ever, like no other car they have here.
Well, Jake, we documented coming into this race, you're fifth in the point standings, and obviously this win is going to help propel you even higher up there. We know that this series does not run with a playoff system. There's only 16 races, and the champion is crowned when we get to Atlanta for a second time near the end of October. So, obviously you've had momentum coming into the first three races of the season. Just how important is it to put this 83 in victory lane?
Oh, it's totally important. I mean, it's always important to win. That's the only reason I come out here. I don't want to run second or third. Points is not even really a factor right now. I'm just trying to go out and get some wins.
Well, Jake, obviously you did that here tonight. We saw you do a lot of burning down out there on the front straightaway over to turn one. So obviously we could tell that you were elated in the car to take this checkered flag, and we're going to let you now do some shout outs.
Absolutely. This is the first win in a league I've had in a long time, almost a year. So I'm super excited. So I got to thank all my friends and family watching. Thank you guys for putting this on. It's really awesome. The broadcast you guys do, I've watched it back. It's really professional. So it makes it that much more real.
Well, we appreciate it. That's Jake Houndshell. He's in victory lane here tonight, taking the checkered flag in the Smart Way Remodeling 200 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Congrats on a great run. Go enjoy your victory.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
And so after 134 laps, Sam, I said it before, I wasn't expecting this type of race going in just based on what the conditions were. We saw these drivers battling in practice, but looking at what we have here tonight, I brought up the fact this is the track we're going to in the end of October with the championship on the line. I can't wait to get back here.
Yeah, and that championship run is going to be a couple of laps longer than what this run was. So it's going to be interesting for these drivers when we come to championship time. But the next race these guys have to deal with is going to be Darlington for 187 laps for the Southern 250. That one is going to be, they thought that this race at Atlanta was tricky. Darlington is just another beast for these drivers.
The Lady in Black lies in waiting, as next week, as you mentioned, they will be heading to the track too tough to tame for the Southern 250. Tonight, it was all about trying to figure out who had a faster pair, who didn't. Next week, it's going to be trying to figure out who has a Darlington stripe and who does not. Might be an easier job. We'll have to wait and see. But thanks to everyone that tuned into tonight's event. Hope you enjoyed it here from Atlanta Motor Speedway. And Sam, as always, appreciate you joining me in the booth.
It's always a pleasure there, Seth.
We will see you guys next weekend, as we mentioned, next week, next Tuesday night at Darlington for the 5th race of the season here for the G4 Sim Racing 87 Vintage Series. But for Sam Dyer, I'm Seth Cole. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy your Tuesday evening as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.